Hello, everyone. Hello. 'Tis I, Madame Askew, and I'm here with my delightful partner in stitching, my co-host, Monsieur Gatto. Hello, Monsieur. Do you have some words for our friends who are joining us today? No. Yes? Oh, what's that? You haven't gotten enough treats? You are wasting away? Your life is the most miserable life that a cat has ever lived. You suffer daily because of my penchant for not giving you constant treats. Is that, yeah, I think that's what's happening. Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here with you. And Monsieur Gatto, who will not be satisfied. He knows where the treats are. You can see he is like watching for them. He wants treats must happen. Oh, and the other two, of course, have now heard the call of the treats, and so treats must be delivered. Good evening, Bess. Hello, my friend. Welcome. Monsieur says good evening as well. He's like, only one treat? But one treat, Mama? Can I not have two treats? Oh my gosh. All right, look, you are a glutton, and I don't know. Captain Picard is also like, I would like treats, please. Do you want this? Are you going to take it? All right, there we go. This, I have only myself to blame for this, by the by. Thank you. Oh, it's the Grand Arbiter's here. Thank you, my darling. Thank you for the compliment. I so appreciate it. This is anti-fascist red, is what I'm wearing tonight. It pairs really beautiful with guillotines. You can get this shade. It's called Victory Red at Besame, and I love it. There's a whole story about it. Oh, hello, Scone Mistress. Oh, it's so good to see you. Apparently, the Hobbit is admiring the neighbors in the Christmas lights. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Little Christmas light viewing. How delightful. And yes, it's true. Cats are fantastic at their bidding and to follow their whims. Hello, Joanne. Hello. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you for the compliment on the lippy. It's clearly a favorite shade. I really like red anyway, but I love this one because it's based on the red lippy that women were given in the Allied nations as a sort of pushback against the fascists during World War II. I just think it's a great story. And wearing anti-fascist red. That's where I'm at. So, hello, happy holidays. Welcome to Twitch and Stitch Tuesday. I thought a lot about what to get up to tonight. I've been working on the new chapeau, sort of like frittering away at it, slowly getting it into shape. I've made a lot of progress on the frame, and we're in a state where I'm doing a lot of sort of hand stitching, which is very necessary. It makes for an excellent time to answer questions and to talk about things, but it's really hard for me to demonstrate what I'm doing. And I thought, since we've had a few weeks of hand sewing and nattering away about hat making, it might be fun tonight to work on something we can do as a stash buster and gift for the season. So this one you may be able to do all with things you have in your home, except for the interfacing, the batting. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit. So it's a ball cozy. And these are wonderful. You can see they're shaped to wrap around a ball. It's perfect for the cold winter months, for soup season. But really, I use mine all year round. It looks, I'm not going to show you the interior too much because I've clearly used it a lot. It has a few stains on it. But these are wonderful. They are made out of cotton. It's very important. They must be made out of 100% cotton. This is critical to the process. Also, hello, my darling. Also, the batting needs to be 100% cotton. So you can put it in the microwave. If you don't make certain your batting is 100% microwave safe, cotton, you can't use them in the microwave, which is not the end of the world. You can always microwave a thing and then put it into the bowl cozy after microwaving it. I've definitely done that. But it's really nice if you can just put the whole thing in the microwave and then put it in your hands and not burn yourself if you are heating up a bowl of soup or what have you. And as Bess says, they are fantastic for holding a bowl fresh from the microwave because they will protect your little hands. You can make them in a variety of sizes, and you can use all sorts of cotton offcuts, remainders, fat quarters, whatever you have in your stash that's cotton. Linen would also probably be fine as it's not going to melt in the microwave, but linen's a little bit more of a spendy fabric to be using for something like this. Cotton is usually a little bit more of a friendly price point. So, and the thread, this is very important. The thread needs to also be cotton, 100% cotton. Thank you for mentioning that. So I've got this really beautiful variegated cotton thread that I got at our local shop, Kathy's, which is where I often take my machines to be repaired. I've had a great relationship with Kathy's for like 25 years now. We are very fortunate here where I live to have quite a few wonderful little local quilting shops that will have 100% cotton thread for you. So if you are distressed because you're thinking, oh, but where am I going to get cotton thread? Joann's is gone. To be honest, Joann's was never the best source for good cotton thread. Your local quilting shop is. Of course, you can get some online as well, but if you've got a shop local to you, I recommend supporting your small independent shops. Argent Peacock makes a wonderful addition. Raw silk insulates well also. If you've got, look, I haven't done that much with raw silk on any of our streams. I haven't talked a lot about it, but it's actually one of my most favorite fabrics to work with. And it is so beautiful to wear. It feels like, not like silk, it feels softer, nubbier, a little bit like, is it cotton? Is it linen? What is this? It can't possibly be silk. It can be very close to how a fine jersey feels, especially if you cut it on the bias. It's just very soft, very cozy fabric. It's not glamorous looking for the most part, and it's a little bit harder to come by these days. It used to be more readily available, and I used to sew with it quite a bit for like everyday clothes. But if you've got a scrap or two of raw silk, that would make a wonderful insulative layer for your ball cozy. Silk is such a great insulator that it's been used for insulating electrical wires and all sorts of things in the past. So that said, I'm using a cotton flannel and a woven cotton, just a like plain old cotton for this project that I had. The plain old cotton I had in my stash. The cotton flannel was something I bought on sale ages ago with an eye to making ball cozies with people as gifts. I also have the very special 100% cotton batting, and you can see it's not very thick. You don't need this to be very thick. In fact, if it's very thick, it will not stitch up nicely. This is very adjacent to the quilting worlds. Garment makers, quilters are going to have a leg up on us in terms of like some of the tools and things that they probably have in their workshop for doing this kind of project. And it has a tiny bit of quilting involved in it. You don't necessarily need to bring out all of the big quilting tools for this, but if you've got a walking foot, it will be useful and helpful. You don't need one of these, but I found it very helpful when I decided to get into making these as gifts and doing this with more regularity to get a plastic plexiglass little template, so I don't have to trace out my square every time. I don't need to like trace out my notches every time onto a pattern. I could just drop this down on my fabric, cut around it, or trace around it depending on what works best for you. I got these very inexpensively off the internet. I think I got them on Etsy, but I'll look and see if I can find the link for them again. But really, you don't need one. All you need to be able to do is make a square. You draw a square. If you want to have curved points, you can just curve off the points. The big trick is about halfway through, you're going to make this little notch. This is a dart that you're going to put in to each side of your bowl cozy. These little darts create the cupping shape that helps support your bowl and sort of wraps around it like so. Without the darts, it's just flat, and you want it to be cupping the bowl. You can see the little dart there stitched up. So nice. This one was actually a gift to me from Lady June Squirrel, and I really treasure it and use it, and it made me obsessed with bowl cozies, to be honest. And so now I make them to give to other people because I already have my own, thanks to dear June. Things we're going to be doing, depending on how the time flows and how things go. So we're going to finish it with a bit of top stitching. This is about, I'd say, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. So you finish it with top stitching. You do turn it, stitch it closed. The top stitching should hopefully catch everything, so you don't have to slip stitch to make certain your opening is closed. I love that. And then you finish before everything. You give it a little bit of a quilting stitch to hold all your layers together. So, skills we're going to be working on today: darts, thick darts, talking about doing thick darts, turning something that you've essentially created a bag, and then the edge stitching. So I'm very excited. These are great skills to add to your arsenal if you don't already have them. And if you do, this is a wonderful way to practice. But more to the point, I think this is just such a great little project to be doing as a gift. If you are like, oh my gosh, I've been invited to a party and there's going to be a gift exchange and I wasn't planning this, or if your presents did not arrive and you're like, oh no, I need to be able to give something useful and nice to somebody I love, or if you simply just like to make handmade gifts, this is a wonderful quick little project that makes for a delightful gift. Everybody can use something like this to protect their hands from a really hot bowl coming out of the microwave. To be honest, in a pinch, I also use mine as just a pot holder to grab things out of the oven or what have you after I've done a bit of baking. And so they're not really meant to be pot holders, but if they're what's nearby, they absolutely work. So sort of like a fancy pot holder. As an aside, Argent Peacock, never mind. No, fear not the typo. I read typo. There's, no shame in that game, as they say. I would be typing so many typos if I were typing right now. But I am sorry your hands are not cooperating, because that's always frustrating. So I think that's the sort of lowdown on how you sort of set up the project and some of the things you need. One of the things I used as an extra is that I have this 505 temporary adhesive glue stick. So I've used the 505 spray scads and I really love it. It's a very useful sort of temporary basting that helps me do things like flatlining more quickly without air pockets and all sorts of nonsense like that. It has some limits, but it works really well. I saw this at my local shop and I was very curious and wanted to try it out. It was relatively inexpensive, so I brought it home and I found it really perfect for this scale of project. The cotton batting is very fuzzy and, the spray doesn't work quite as well with it. But I can roll this on to my base cotton and then it holds that cotton batting in place, which is so helpful. It sort of speeds up the process. The other thing I really like to use for a project like this are my Wonder Clippies. These are great. So what I've done is I've cut out my fabric. And like I said, I actually bought this on purpose. Isn't it darling? It's like cozy and goth, and the person I'm making this for will really love this vibe. It's a beautiful cotton flannel that I got like 2 years ago. It's been waiting for me to have the time to make this project, and it's little wolves, it's like mushrooms and snakes and moths, and there are parts of this print that have beautiful owls and things on it, but I set it up so that the wolves would be really beautifully framed. Look, I went the extra trouble, the extra mile, as it were, to actually position my fabric pattern so it would look really cool. You don't have to do that. Just pick some fun fabric and go to town. But this print is so fun. I just had to take advantage of it. So I'm going to put right sides together. This is my basic black fabric. So I want right sides together, the flannel and the cotton. And then sandwiched on one side here is my cotton flannel, or my cotton batting rather. On my cotton flannel, very easy to see, I've got my notches marked. So, and I'm just going to clip it all together. I did go in and pre-trim my cotton batting away from the seam allowance, so my seams would not get so thick they would be really hard to turn and to work with them. I also cut the cotton batting away from where those little notches, my little darts, are going to be, because I don't want the batting in the darts. When you've got something really thick like this, where you're going to put a dart, you want to actually cut away some of the fabric so that your dart does not become impossible to work with. This is true in dressmaking as well. If you have a very thick interlining and lining and all of these things that you've built up a lot of layers, and now suddenly the area in which you have darts is super thick. you stitch and then you trim away. And that's going to make it more workable. It's also going to preserve some of the ease in the fit of the garment. Now, when I'm doing something like this, where I know I need to be able to turn the garment through a hole or turn the object through an opening in the stitching, I usually go in and I put a pin to remind myself that is where I don't want to stitch. Very important. You'll notice it's on the other side of this dart because that's going to get stitched up. It's going to be like, it would not work to try and turn through this portion. It's fairly thick when you get done with it, but it's still easy enough to turn because all of the layers are pretty soft. Now, of course, when I set up to do this, do you think I grabbed my my wonderful like quilting foot so it would be here and ready to go? No. Why would I do something smart like that? So let me grab my quilting foot because it's going to be very helpful in this project. It's not a requirement. You can do it with a regular pressing foot. So I'm going to do some of the sewing with my normal pressing foot and then swap to the quilting foot so I can show you the difference. So properly, the quilting foot is actually called a walking foot, and they're called that because this part sort of walks along the fabric to counterbalance the motion of your feed dogs so that, pardon me, so that when you're stitching these thick layers, these multiple layers, everything stays together rather than getting pulled at different rates because of the differential, frankly, between the feed dogs and the presser foot. So I'm definitely going to have to fill my bobbin at some point, but we're going to finish it off, even though it's pretty low. Just sometimes you want to finish the bobbin rather than toss the thread. The cotton thread is not so spendy, but it's a little bit more spendy than my standard threads. I'm using purple, this purple variegated, which will probably show up a bit against my fabric. I think it will make for a nice contrast. But also, I only have so much cotton threads in my workshop because I don't do a lot of quilting. I certainly don't do much in the way of archival heirloom quilting. I'm making garments, and so I'm using more all-purpose thread, which is usually polyester is involved in that thread. Okay. So for our initial stitching, we're just going to use our regular old presser foot, and I'm going to show you how that goes. I've also got, this is my secret weapon for things like this. I've got my little purple bodkin. It's going to be really helpful, not only for turning, but for like helping to move the fabric this thick multi-layered fabric sandwich under my presser foot. I recommend getting a bodkin for yourself. I talk about them all the time. They're a really great tool. This one is literally called the Purple Thang, Thang. And it's got a little bit of a curved point, which is very nice, a square point, which can be useful, a place to thread elastic. It's a multi-tool, basically, and they're relatively inexpensive. If you go into your local fabric store and you say you are looking for one, they will know what you mean. So there's that as well. All right. So anathema to quilters everywhere. I'm going to do 1/2 inch seams because I'm used to them, and then trim down in most places. So if you're a quilter, you'd probably just do a 1/4 inch seam. It'll save you some trimming because you will want to trim down. These seams are going to get really bulky. But I'm so used to stitching a 1/2 inch seam that it's just easier for me to do my old familiar, to be honest. Oh, so as I'm nattering away and talking about this project, please feel free to drop questions into the comments to tell me what you're working on. If you are doing any stash busters as gifts or just as end of the year projects for fun to please yourself, please share in the chat. I always like to know. Whilst I'm stitching, I won't be able to see your comments, but I like to pull them up again so I can see in between stitching, and I can also chat with you face to face. Really like to do that. If you're new, if this is your first time joining us, I do this most Tuesday nights. Outside of the holiday season, it's much more regular. During the holiday season, everything gets a little bit chaotic. Oh my gosh! Bess finally finished the slip that has been languishing on her table for months. Congratulations. I love getting a finished project. I have so many projects that are close to the end. I really need to finish. Feels so good when they're done and off the table, and then you can enjoy this thing you've been working on. All right, let's come in here. See here if I've got you at a good angle. There we go. I think. All right. It's always a bit tricky for me to make certain that you all can see everything. So I've already dropped my needle. That helps me hold everything in place as I'm going. And I'm going to start out with a little back tack, just a couple of stitches backwards. I was explaining to someone the other day that the back tack is the equivalent of a knot in your seam of stitching, and usually you want to start and stop a row of stitching with a back tack. There are some circumstances in which you don't, but usually you do. So I'm going around a little curve here. You can see I'm directing with my left hand, and I'm sort of helping to guide it off camera with my right hand. To the corner of this dart, drop my needle, and I'm going to turn it so that I can stitch right next to the cotton batting. When I come up to the point here, I'm also going to drop my needle and turn again and stitch right next to that cotton batting, and then drop the needle and turn once more and continue on with my stitching. While I'm doing this, I'm trying to keep the edge of the fabric lined up with the 1/2 inch mark on the plate underneath my presser foot. And around we go. So I know I've joked about this before, but whenever I talk to someone who's just getting started in sewing or a little bit anxious about sewing, they really want to do it, but they're anxious about getting started. They feel like they could not possibly sew. I really want everyone to know that sewing is a learnable skill, and for most of us, it is something we can learn to do. Of course, there are always exceptions, but in general, sewing is absolutely a learnable skill. And there's a lot of accessibility tools out there to help people who feel like it wouldn't be for them. But what a lot of people say to me is, oh, I could never stitch a straight line. Well, most of us don't stitch perfectly straight lines, but also the real trick is the curves. The straight lines only have to be straight enough, especially around here. I'm perfectly happy to be a little bit askew, amongst other things, but the curves are the tricky bit. So that's the place where you have to kind of learn how to master your handwork and control the fabric so you get a nice smooth curve going through. I'm just going to back up a bit there. Went a bit too far. It's all right. And here we come. We're up to this curve again. And you can watch how I just sort of delicately move the fabric. So I've lined up, keep the edge of the fabric lined up with that 1/2 inch mark. And then as I move, I just curve my fabric. That really does take a bit of practice, but it's learnable. It's just like driving a car or a bicycle. It's a thing you have to learn to do with your body and your hands. It's a little bit of like muscle memory, muscle control. But once you've got it, you'll always be able to do it. Here's the other thing. If you're paying attention, you'll see I'm not perfect all the time. I definitely stitch a little bit into the cotton. I definitely am not perfectly positioned at every time. This is not a corset. It is not precision stitching in that way. I want it to look nice, but it's forgiving project. It's honestly, it's a nice little beginner project if you want to like keep pushing your skills. This is a bit of a nice next step after doing a pillowcase or a tote bag. It's sort of in a similar realm as making stuffed pillows, because you're doing a bag lining that you're going to turn and then close. And it's fun. It's a nice, fun little different project. I really understand the necessity of starting people out with things like scrub pants and tote bags and pillowcases as starter projects, because you learn a lot from doing those kinds of things. But it's really nice to make something you're actually going to use. And sometimes we don't need another tote bag. So I like things like this as learning projects, because I'm going to use it when I'm done. All right, we're coming up to the last bit of stitching. You see, here's my needle reminding me I don't want to stitch too far in there. I am going to stitch just a smidge along this edge. It makes it a bit easier for me when it comes time to finish things if I have a little bit of a lip past the dart. Trying to turn things right next to the dart can be messy. All right, and now that I've given myself a back tack, I managed to do all of this stitching without running out of bobbin thread. I will need to change that bobbin and load it though, because look at how little thread is left. So that's my cue to rethread, fill my bobbin. Oh my goodness, there we go. How very fortunate for me to make that through on what was left on that bobbin. I love that. Let's see, we've got some fun updates. Okay, so Beth says after the petticoat, she squirreled, and now she's making an 18th century apron instead of the caftan she got all the bits and bobs for. Look, an apron, that's so fun and useful. Also, 18th century, does that mean you're doing some 18th century ensembles? Because that's also very fun. Oh no! Archer Peacock says, sadly, she has to remake her bat ear hat. Oh no, it didn't survive the plane ride back from Louisville. She thinks the base can be salvaged, but the unicorn horn is sadly broken. Oh no! Oh no! That's oh, I'm sad. I'm sad. She was able to steam the ears back into shape, but the base has to be rewired and restitched. You know, that's awful. I'm so sorry. That really is very unfortunate and frustrating. All right, so I'm just trimming away some bits where I didn't quite get enough of the cotton batting trimmed away when I pre-trimmed. So I'm just trimming it back to the stitch line just to keep my seam allowance less bulky. Okay. And now I'm going to do the really scary thing. I'm going to be trimming into these darts to cut away some of that bulk before I turn this. That makes me means I'm committed. And you can see, like, it's a little bit messy. It's not perfect, but it's close enough to where my markings were. It would have probably been a bit more standard if I had lined it up with the batting on this side, since these markings are very clear. But you know what? They'll still do the thing. Oh, this is so lovely. Beth says, I'm mostly adding 18th century bits to my daily wardrobe to give it that hobbit touch. I love this so much. Yeah, they really do have that sort of 18th century vibes, somewhere between dirndls and like 18th century rural dress. Yeah. Mm. Oh no. Alicia says Marksy has finished his beauty rest. I guess I can go finish dishes and make tea now. Yeah, yes, you are freed. You are freed. So I'm going to go in with my handy dandy scissors and I'm going to cut back. So I've got like about 1/4 of an inch of fabric left next to my stitch line, like so. This means when I turn this, I'll have less bulkiness there. My repositionable glue is continuing to hold everything in position, which I really appreciate. Makes my life a little easier on this part of things. All right. Now I'm going to go around the edges and also trim that back in the same fashion. Except for the part where I'm going to turn it, I'm leaving that more full because it will make it easier for me to catch that fabric when I go in and top stitch. This is where, if you're a quilter and you're used to sewing that 1/4 inch seam, you're not going to be doing all of this trimming because you can just sew it at a 1/4 inch seam. This is very forgiving. You can make your square any size you want. You can make your bowl cozy any size you want, from quite small if you're comfortable to large. So now I'm going to do my least. Swear to Jeebus. All right, I need to know if any other sewers were watching me do this and were saying to themselves, she's lost her mind. She's forgotten that the darts need to be stitched like this before she turns it. I lost my mind. Oh my gosh. Absolutely lost my mind. Okay, well, you know what? I was just like, I absolutely was sort of on this sort of like la 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 train of thought, and I was, oh, that's such a mistake, everyone. Look, I'm actually going to have to unpick every stitch on this. It's fine. I'm very wroth with myself, but it's fine. Let's watch me unpick stitches. What a pain in the tuchus. I'm not going to make you watch. There's another step. There is another step. That step is you sew the darts in first. And I think, don't you think I need to unpick? Will I be able to turn it properly if I've stitched those darts in? I don't know. I'm going to turn it and see what it looks like. I don't think it's going to be right, though. Bad. Yeah. No, now my brain doesn't want to do this. All right. I'm just going to... So I'm going to do... You just sew them over the top of the existing stitching. Yes. I think it... Will it turn? Let's see. All right, I'm going to pin with safety pins to see if this will turn all right. Because honestly, I'm not trusting myself at this juncture, in part because of an error I made in a workshop with a West kit. I'm like, oh no, have I misjudged? All right. But I always love making mistakes. No, I don't. Because it gives me a moment to talk about the things you shouldn't do and to show you how to like back up from your mistake. All right, so to see if this will work all right, I've gone in, I've stitched, I've pinned, and I'm going to do a quick turn. See after, yeah. I love this. Everyone's like, yeah, no, I'm right. You totally had a plan.
Hi!
Hi, Grand Arbiter. Hello, what a surprise. Hey, hi.
I saw you sewing up a storm and had to bother you and say hello and how much I adore you.
Yes, now you have to be here and chit chat. It's
That's
true.
my plan. That was my plan. I'm doing a task as well, a different task.
Oh, how lovely. All right. Just when you leave, if you leave before I do, remember not to close the stream.
Oh, no. I know.
But I'd love it if you stayed the whole time.
I mean, my plan was not to. The last time I left, it was because I was on my phone. Now we're in the safety of the web interface. Unlikely to blow up in our face this time.
All right. Good. Okay, everyone. Let's see. I made an error, so we're seeing if I can salvage the project, having made said error, or if I need to unpick my stitches. Okay, I think it will. I think I could just go in and stitch them, and it will be fine. Because I was able to turn it with those safety pins in place.
Let me see it so I can look at it.
Oh no, it looks terrible right now. I don't want you to. It looks
perfect.
terrible.
You've never done anything wrong your whole life.
That's a lie, but thank you so much. But I've confirmed that I could still turn it and stitch the darts in that way. So you don't have to stitch the darts in a layer at a time. You can just, it looks like, would it work? I don't know. It looks really weird. I'm very much second guessing myself, everyone.
What could I do to help you? How can we bounce ideas off you? How can I support you emotionally?
I don't know that you can, my darling, but thank you.
This cat says you can do it.
The cat is wonderful. So, all right. I think, yes, now I stitch all the Let's see if it will work, everyone. Worst case scenario is I have to unpick more stitching. All right, so I think you're all suggesting turn it and then stitch over where I made my darts but didn't connect them. Maybe with like a zigzag or or should I try and stitch the darts and then turn? Let's find out, shall we? Boy, this is one of those where I just really feel like, what a boneheaded mistake. It's fine. I was just so focused on talking through the bits and getting into the sewing that I forgot. Yes, the old stitching is just basting. I love that. Right, well, let me fill up my bobbin. Grand Arbiter, the worst case scenario here is that I have to unpick all of my stitching and start again, which is not the end of the world, but I don't want to do it. So,
I mean, why would you want to? Why would you wish to live this life?
no one likes to unpick all of their stitching.
I certainly wouldn't wish that upon you.
Thank you. All right, so whilst I'm prepping here, what are you working on, Grand Arbiter?
Well, I am hiring an airship for you.
Oh, an airship. How exciting. Is this an airship to take me to Atlanta for Con Possible?
It is the very same.
Ooh, excellent. And would you share with everyone the dates for Con Possible?
I'll even share the website on our StreamYard. But the
Excellent.
dates are the 6th to the oh gosh, it's the 6th to the 8th in Atlanta, Georgia.
In
Technically,
Georgia.
Technically, it's Duluth, Georgia, but we'll live.
We'll live. All right. Okay. All right. I'm just going to do a quick bit of I'm just going to see if this is going to be a disaster or not by doing one dart. And also, yes, of what month? Very important.
February. It's February. February 2026, 6th to the 8th. Link in above. Oh, Madam Askew.
All right. I'm going to I've done one dart. I'm going to turn it and see if this is right, or if I need to do the darts as separate layers, which is frankly what I've normally done. So I'm like, concerned. And I'm also concerned that the safety pins were not necessarily doing what I thought they were. So.
Well, sometimes safety pins are not as safe as they appear to be, is my understanding.
Yes, well, they don't hold things quite as firmly. I just am making certain that I can recover from my error without having to unpick all my stitches like a fool. So ridiculous. This is what happens when I just talk and talk.
I mean, sometimes stuff happens, but you're going to have, are we working on the hat right now?
No, Lord, no. We're working on a ball cozy.
No. Well, then that's much less stressful than it being the hat.
Yes, it is.
So you froze right after you said, Lord, no. And it was so horrifying, the concept that you froze time.
Well, I probably would be crying if I... All right, so the answer is that it does not work to sew it in that way. Instead, you end up with something that looks like a strange cryptid.
Are you sure that's what it looks like?
No, but that's what we're going to call it, because the other thing
I feel like it's a Georgia O'Keeffe reference. It's an orchid.
It does look like an orchid. All right. Yes, you are distracting, but in the best way, and I adore all of you. And so the answer is the option would be to turn it, then zigzag over the darts. But you cannot sew the darts as one like that. You do need to sew them as two separate layers, and then sandwich together. I feel very foolish, but we're going to fix it by unpicking a bunch of stitches. I'm glad that I only stitched the one dart, because I only have the one dart to unpick. And you'll see that I'm actually going to the trouble of unpicking the stitches. That's because we're here and I don't really want to cut more fabric. I do have more. If you are doing a stash buster and you've got a fair amount of fabric and you make a mistake like this, you don't need to go to the effort of unpicking your stitches. You can always just cut more. Now here's the real tragedy. After setting everything up, so I did not have to stitch things at a 1/4 inch seam, and I trimmed away. Now I'm going to have to stitch everything at a 1/4 inch seam, which is fine, and I'll make it work.
You're going to do perfect in every way.
Oh, thank you, Grand Arbiter. So sadly, I stitched very neatly very tidily, which makes it hard to unpick. But I've got a handy dandy little seam ripper here.
Well, and all you have to do is just whenever you're feeling distress, you can look at my very bad hairdo and be like, oh, it's my very silly friend with his very silly hairdo.
Yes. So, Grand Arbiter, the thing I'm making tonight is a ball cozy.
Oh, I have some of those.
Yes.
Ooh.
They can
It's
also
actually the newest hat craze.
Yes.
The Bow Cozy hat.
Yes.
The craze for late December 2025 when you've totally lost your mind and you must look like a madwoman.
That is it. And for those times when you're like, I have a ball haircut, so clearly I need a ball cozy to go with my ball haircut. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So, I know Bess goes, oh right. Darts go in the outer end lining separately if you don't want the dart to show inside. I forgot how bartises work. I also am so used to doing flat linings on things. I'm going to blame it on that. I'm so used to doing flat linings that I too forgot how this works. It's all good. It's salvageable. And we've learned a lesson together and remembered a lesson together. And if you're someone who's like plotting doing this, just remember there's a part in here where I made a massive error and I'm unpicking it. You don't have to make the massive error as well. So Scott Mistress says, so Babushka Askew reigns. Yes.
I mean, that Babushka Askew is not allowed to reign. She's unbridled. She doesn't
She's
have
unbridled. I like this one. Alicia is suggesting caftans and cozies for Sunday brunch tradition. Everyone wear your bowl cozy with your caftan. Perfect. Grand Arbiter, I think you'd look very charming in a bowl cozy chapeau.
Actually, I need a full tea cozy directly on my head. Like a teapot directly on my head.
Well, that I can make that happen too.
It can be arranged.
That too can be arranged. Oh my goodness. I mean, honestly, a teapot cozy shaped like a cloche makes a nice little cloche type hat. So, you know, very 1920s.
You look very cute right now. You look like
thank you.
Very business.
I'm very red.
This is a very cute outfit for you. You look incredible tonight.
Thank you, Grand Arbiter.
Even if judgmental cat agrees. You know what this cat is named? You know what this cat's named, right?
No, I don't know what this cat is named.
It's the Marquis de Cat.
The Marquis de Cat. Is this the cat from Root, one of your favorite games?
Yes. Lord Asplin felt the need to buy me all of the little stuffed animal characters.
I love that. And I see we are all talking about the wonderful little bowl cozy as hat. Beth says it matches quite nicely. Thank you. Honestly, they are like the same reds. And Squad Mistress reminds us all that red is a neutral. That's true. That's true. We decided during the pandemic, red is a neutral. Oh no, the Hobbit extra chaos tonight. Hobbit, holiday chaos.
Such is life when you're a crazy hobbit.
Yeah, you know, or 18 months or 2, or is the Hobbit's 2 now, right? What a wild time. All right, here we go. I'm making pretty steady progress, going around and around and around. Fortunately, the fabric is not fraying too much as I do this, which is one challenge of working with cotton flannel, is that there is a fray factor. So, you know, some people, there's that show Fear Factor, or there was that show called Fear Factor. I have no idea. I've never seen
I
it.
think it does not exist anymore in its current construction.
No idea.
But it's still valuable. And I must tell you, your purchase has been made. The flight will arrive and blissfully take you. And I ensured that you got a window seat.
Thank you, Grand
To the best
Arbiter.
of my ability to ensure that. Although I must tell you, we're going to have like a little bit of a removing of the sausage casing, as it were. The fact that you can't choose your seat at like one of the like main levels of buying tickets is absolutely insane.
That is madness.
I think it's really, really rude, to be honest.
Yes. So, I mean, but you know, airship travel is not what it once was.
Airship travel is worse now. It's truly, truly terrible.
Yes. As people who often fly by airships, we can confirm. I am so happy that I did a test on that dart situation. It would have been very sad if I had done all of them. It came out pretty easily.
That would have been deeply tragic.
Well, I might have decided at that point to go cut new fabric. After weeping a little light weeping, and then cut new fabric. So here's the secret. I'm planning to make these for my favorite auntie, who loves gothy things and loves soup and cozy things. And so I'm planning to delicately wrap it and place it in her gift box. Oh my gosh, yes. Good night, Scone Mistress. Good night, my friend. Beth says she did some airship purchasing last week, and good Lord, the owner of the airship matters. My goodness, that is so true. It's so true. And
That's
like some
true.
of the good ones are not good anymore. Or like some of them,
they're not good anymore. It's truly, truly, truly outrageous.
yes, just
they're truly, truly, truly outrageous.
But maybe the plots are more plausible. I'm not certain. Gem was pretty implausible. I'm about 3/4 of the way done unpicking my stitches. Argent Peacock also has to do some airship plotting. As we do.
Always such a wild time doing this business.
Yes. All right. Well, the fun news, everyone, is that I can follow the marks of my stitching from where I've unpicked it. Very irksome. But I'm going to lining. So what I'm going to be doing is once I finish unpicking all of this, going back to the beginning, actually, I'm going to put in the darts, and then we'll skip to the part where we put right sides together. And, all together. Turn. Because you want your lining fabric and your outer fabric to be two separate pieces. Otherwise, you end up with a strangely suggestive Mobius strip. Very much like a shawl collar situation in a West kit when setting that up doesn't go properly. All right. Just unpicking that back tack. Ha, huzzah. Now, let's do some dots. All right, so I'm just to start. I've got my little notches. I already cut them out. So I'm going to line them up and stitch them to the best of my ability. So I'm going to fold my black fabric together, right sides together, and stitch right next to where my batting is. Fortunately, I have plenty of thread now because I re-threaded my bobbin. Now, if you are doing like some really fancy dressmaking and you want your darts to look really sharp, you don't back tack at the end of your dart. You leave your threads free, and then you pull them apart and you tie a little knot at the end. And this is how I would finish them if I was doing like a really nice garment. For this project, I might just put a back tack there because I'm not worried if it gives me that little bobble, as it were. I am back tacking at the starting end of my dart. So we've got 2 darts there, and now I'm going to go in, do my final 2.
Okay, I had to make a slight change on your trip because I made a slight mistake.
Thank you, Grand Arbiter.
But
look, if I can make a mistake with darts, anyone can make a mistake tonight. It's that kind of evening. And also, all's fair when it comes to fixing things, right?
Well, and it's on the leaving flight, so it's a lot less like urgent that it gets to the like. If our lovely friends at Compostible get the wrong information about our exit flight, it's not great, but it's less concerning.
Right.
Because they don't have to collect us, right?
That's true. All right, so let's look at this. This is what you should have at this point. You should have something that looks a little bit like a ball. Look at that, very nice. This is a nice deep one. So it will really curl around the ball. And the way I did the corners gives it a little bit like a little floral appearance, like petals. So now we're going to go in, do the same thing, stitch in these darts on the beautiful print fabric. I'm just going to follow my stitch lines from where I basted things accidentally. We're going to call it accidental basting. It definitely goes easier and better if you don't make that particular mistake that I did, but I'm happy I could show you how to come back from making a mistake. Of course, I also have to do the 1/4 inch seam allowance here, which It's not my favorite, but we're making do. I'm eager to get to the fun part where...
It's like I have not bought tickets before for myself. I'm making drastically terrible decisions.
What are you doing?
I'm just like, I'm going to pick these seats that are willy-nilly not a seat that I would choose ever. And I'm like, oh, right. I don't really want to choose that seat.
Why are you doing that? Don't suffer. Also, hello, Cheshire. Hello, friends. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm so excited for Cheshire to touch my boots aggressively.
Aggressive boots action.
Aggressive boot molestation.
It's more boots salvation, I think.
I mean, for sure.
So Cheshire, tonight, I am not making a hat. Despite appearances, I'm making a ball cozy, which I have placed upon my head. Boot reconciliation. Ooh, I love that. So this is what a ball cozy looks like when you have finished it. And they're a wonderful, quick little project, usually quick. In this case, I made a drastic error, had to take it apart and put it back together. So now I have my fashion fabric, if you will, all stitched up, also with my darts. And so now I'm going to put right sides together. I want to line up my darts to the best of my ability.
You line those darts.
Lining them up. Okay. So, and now I'm going to go in with my Wonder Clips and clip everything. I was just so excited to get into it. And I was so excited to jump into it that I just kind of jumped over some steps. Hello, Phyllis. We love a ball cozy. And this is like the perfect season to make them because so many of us are eating soup and other things that are quite warm. And so keeping your soup nice and toasty with a ball cozy is fantastic. But also being able to pull it right out of the microwave if you're heating something up without burning your hands. What a treasure. What a delight. I love that.
I am so excited to be done with this portion of the adventure.
Good. Well, I have to tell you,
the purchasing of the thing is always so much work.
That's true. I will never make this mistake again on a ball cozy, though. You know, sometimes you make a mistake like this, and it reminds you to never do it again. Also, yes, it would absolutely work really well to keep your ice cream cold and to protect your hands from a really cold ice cream ball. They're great. They're very useful. And they don't use very much fabric at all. Probably like less than a quarter yard of fabric. Because they are just little squares. I love that. Okay.
Okay, and with that, we have purchased all of our tickets for all of those things.
For the airship travel adventures. All right. Okay, my darlings. So, as before, I need to leave myself a little opening where I'm going to turn this. And so, as a reminder, because wouldn't that be just the icing on the sundae to forget and stitch it all together and not leave an opening for myself. So I've put a little pin where I want to leave my opening, and I've got this all clipped together with my wonder clips. So nice. And I'm going to stitch this and then turn it properly. So, and I'm just going to, I'll show you some of the stitching, but I'm not going to leave you staring at the stitching for too long. Oh my gosh, yes, this. Archer Peacock says, it happens when you don't use a pattern for a while and then you just make it without reading instructions. It's true. Sometimes I skip steps if I don't do that. So when I'm getting into an old faithful pattern, I will often review the instructions just to like remind myself of how they did things. I also like to pull out the previous iteration of the garment if I've made it before and look at what I did and sort of like refresh my memory that way too. One of the great things about the dragon costume that I hadn't done to that degree before is how much I documented what I did. And so now, whilst I'm like preparing and getting into the green Secret Tea Society ensembles, I can go back and review some of those things and go, all right, this is what I did. This is where it didn't work. This is how I fixed it. So this is how I can like avoid that problem in the future. All right. So let's take a look at a little bit of this stitching and then I'll pop back up here. Grand Arbiter, don't go away. I love having you here.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just sitting here. I'm sending missives and information.
Can you see where my sewing needle is and my hand and the fabric and everything?
Your hand, I can see your fabric. I'm going to say if you could move slightly to the right, I think it would be better for you. Or
like this?
Right. The other right.
Like this?
Yes, because your name tag blocks the visual. Great.
All right.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So I've dropped my needle and I'm just going to, I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam, which I had tried to avoid, but the fates had a different plan for me. I just did a little back tack there. And even though this is already very three-dimensional, I can just sort of like squish it flat as I stitch. Now I'm going to come to where I've got my little darts here, and you could press them open. You could go to your iron and actually press everything, but I'm just going to finger press. When I get to the middle of that dart, I'm going to drop my needle and turn it so I can continue and hold that, you know, fabulous little petal shape that I have going on there. And again, I'm coming around the curve. The curves are always the tricky part. If you don't want to deal with curves, you don't have to make the ends, the corners curved. You can just leave them pointed and do little pointy bits instead. So you see here, I'm just going to press it open with my fingers. If this were like a garment or actually a chapeau, I would go in and press everything. But this is going to be a utility object that gets beaten up in the kitchen. So I'm much less concerned.
Like a utility object built to be beat up in a kitchen.
Yes. Well, that's a description of our butlers, I think. Teapots, tea cozies, all the things. So, all right. So I'm going to go all the way around, stitch it like that. And then once I get through the stitching, then I will turn it. So that's exciting. You know what's funny to me at this moment is a Grand Arbiter is when I was plotting this out for this evening's stream, I was like, the only challenge with doing the teapot cozy is they're so fast that what will I do? Like, I'm going to run out of things to demonstrate and do during the live stream, and we're going to end before I'm ready to be done. And I'm so happy that I could just make a grave error so that we'd have plenty to talk about.
I mean, there's always plenty to talk about. There's always plenty to do and plenty to talk about. But fortunately now all of our trips are created for our lovely trip to the great state of Georgia.
I'm so excited. We love Compossible. It's a wonderful little convention, very cozy. And like this year's theme is basically like cottage core and the fairies and historical fantasy. And, how absolutely delightful. It's going to be really fun.
I think so. I think it's going to be quite darling.
Right. So here we go. I've sewn the edges all together properly now. I'm going to turn it through the opening I left myself. Going a little bit easier already. I will have some stray threads to trim away from all of that, like, unpicking and what have you.
You just love to pick threads apart. That's just,
apparently.
You're just giving yourself a way to feed your personal neuroses. What a beautiful, beautiful life we live, though, where you get to make little cozies. Do we know where this one's going?
Yes, it's going to my auntie.
Oh, auntie secret scribe or auntie we went to the lace museum with them.
Auntie, the auntie who makes all the art for us.
Yes. Great. That's lovely.
So, I mean, we also went to the lace museum with her, right? But, yeah. All right. So.
There are so many conventions. It's very true. It's very hard to choose. But I will tell you that Tizar Maya will be at Compossible with all of his Tizar magic.
Yay!
So there's many, many reasons to go to specific places.
But alas, one has to make choices sometimes, and we understand that those choices have to be made. No one's budget is infinite, unfortunately.
No one's budget is infinite. Well, that's not true, but we don't want to be friends with those people.
Right. I mean, the billionaires don't count. All right. So right now what I'm doing is I'm going in and I'm sort of pressing on my seams from the inside to make sure they're all popped out nicely. And I don't have anything bunched up, strangely. You could go in, again, you could go give it a good press if you want to, do a little bit of pressing to make it really neat and tidy. Pressing always makes your work tidier. Mostly I'm going in and I'm just trimming away the excess threads that are visible still from where I trim. So, and to really get this nice, I'm going to go in with my Archer Peacock says, yes, if I could make it to Atlanta, I would totally help out Tizar Mia. It was a nice con, just bad timing for me. I so totally understand that. It's sort of like Clockwork Alchemy has been for us for a long time, where we really wanted to go, but it was like right after Wild West Con. Our most like involved, most heavy duty, do the most, and are always the most knackered afterwards. We also couldn't do Bourbon City after the first year because they moved to like the weekend before Wild West
I
Con.
think they moved back to May this year, though.
I think they've moved, yeah, because that was a really rough time.
Yeah, it's just always a real hard challenge.
Well, and for some reason, and we've laughed about this, there seems to be a curse amongst steampunk cons that they were all happening for a while in the spring months.
It is absolutely nutty that is the way that's played out. I hated it.
I'm happy to see some things like moving out of the spring. And I'm with Joanne. Like, I like a spring event and I like an autumn event. And so it's really nice to have them moved to October. All right, my darlings. I am going to give this, I think, a quick hit of steam. And then I'm going to come back and show you how to use the walking foot. I'm taking advantage of the Grand Arbiter being here, honestly,
just
because
to double check that everyone can see.
yes. Now I wouldn't have to press. It looks pretty nice just from finger pressing it, but I'm just going to give it a little bit a hit of steam because I think there are a couple of places where it's being a bit difficult.
I mean,
and then what?
Fair.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to support you in all your endeavors. I am also submitting your panel right now.
Oh, thank you, Grand Arbiter. So the other thing I'm going to do is pin.
Before you pin,
can
you remind me, our lovely friend and companion, Jason Bush, who will be joining us for many an event at Con Possible. They go by he, him still, correct?
Yes, he uses he, him.
Just reminding myself.
Absolutely. We want to do our best to get the pronouns right.
And I have also informed Con Possible of all of our things. I'm just being very organized today.
I love that. So a thing I've done for myself to make this a little bit easier is that I have pinned closed the opening bit because I'm going to go in and top stitch that closed. So I just want to like use those pins to hold this whilst I steam it. The steam, the quick bit of heat is going to really help me get this more tidy as I go in to top stitch it. Archer Peacock says, I'm trying to sell going out west for Wild West Con, coming home Sunday and leaving the following Thursday to a tournament in Canada. Fingers crossed. I know that is a hard sell, but fingers crossed. All right. Grand Arbiter, I'll be back in like 2 minutes. I can hear you. You speak loudly.
I will be very entertaining for a moment. So we've submitted a bunch of new panels. Importantly, we're submitting the grid game that you may have seen in some of our other experiences to the event, so you can see it on there. We're also going to try to have some really cool new events. I'm excited about it. My hair is doing some really bad stuff today. This is a lot of hair. I'm very glad I have so much of it, but this feels long. Is this long? This feels, I guess I'm letting it fall flat so it's like falling down, but this feels like a lot of hair. I'm just going to ramble for a bit. I'm very excited for Con Possible. I'm very excited for Wild West Con. And then I'm excited for our secret trip, which I'm very excited about a lot. We've got lots of fun trips coming forward, going into going into 2026. I hope you have some fun trips planned as well. It's really important that you make time for yourself and for your adventures. Adventures are how we have fun, how we do stuff. I've had some very good streams lately. I streamed twice this week, both on Sunday and on Monday. I'm very popular playing Magic the Gathering. You can check out the Lochthwain lobby to see my last game, which was pretty fun. I thought it was pretty cool. If those people are, anyone's interested in, Magic, that's always a fun time. I like Magic. You don't have to. I wouldn't recommend it. It's sort of like a mental health disorder. You just don't wish it upon others. You just recognize that it's going to happen. Okay.
And I'm back. It really just needed just a hint of steam to help it be a little bit more crisp. Ooh. Bess says, I'm debating going to Emerald City Comic Con for the first time this year. She would like your thoughts, Grand Arbiter, because I have not been. This one is smaller.
So I think Emerald City Comic Con is pretty good. The things to think about is it is crazy busy. It is very big. It feels not as big, but the Seattle area is pretty dense. I think that in general, it's a very good convention to do. I've done it once or twice. I tend to not do as many of the big conventions here in town just because they tend to be more scale than I'm used to. But I think it's a good convention. I think the best part about it is that there's a great group of people that run it. And there's some really great events that you can do. Really checking out some great local areas is going to be great. The food in Seattle is pretty nice, I think.
Yes. I like this from Joanne. Joanne says she and Jake are RVers. And so they have several rallies next year and they try to tie those in with Ren fairs and cons. I love that because I've seen you at some events because you could get there with your RV. And it's been really lovely getting to see you at those out of state, further away things. And I love this. Archer Peacock says, look, we all do dangerous things that are likely not the best choices. No one here judges. That's also true. Okay, so I've swapped out for my walking foot, and I don't have to use the walking foot. I could just use my regular presser foot, but it's sort of nice if you have one to use it for things like this, because again, it counteracts the issues with differential between the feed dogs and your presser foot, so everything stays nice and tidy. Beth says her home con is Rose City, which she understands is on the smaller side for Comic Cons, but I've heard really nice things about that one, Bess. I would like to go sometime, to be honest. It's been a bit on my agenda, if you will.
I've heard good things about Rose City as well. Here's the thing. I am not a big Comic-Con person. I go to a handful of conventions a year. And I like comic conventions as concept, but I'm not a big comic consumer, so I'm not like the target audience for that. I did do PAX this last year, which was pleasant enough, but I don't think it was worth a 3-day pass, to be perfectly honest. I'm a big fan of I want more social engagement events. So when I did the Tacoma Command Fest, which is a Magic event where I basically played Magic for 3 days, 10 hours a day for 3 days. So I played 21 Magic games over 3 days. Madam Askew was horrified. Yeah, it's definitely more pop culture than just comics. But again, it's for me, I like the fan base stuff. I've done some panels at Emerald City that's been very fun, but for me, I've done more of the like I am a notorious stagehound, so I'm always looking for ways to participate. And so I'm not always the best for like looking around being a looky-loo or sitting enjoying other people's panels. I'm quite naughty in that regard. But it's a beautiful convention, and the new convention center is incredible. It's such a good convention center. Madame Askew's been there. She got to see it in all its ridiculous glory.
Well, and Bess got to see it during Worldcon.
Right, that's what I meant. You saw it.
Yeah.
Both saw it during Worldcon.
Yeah.
I am curious about how they're going to handle it next year because they always do something a little bit different. But I suspect it will be very exciting.
I would like to go sometime, and I think if we were going together, you'd have a different experience, Grand Arbiter.
I mean, I would, as always, have a different experience. Again, it's mostly that those ones, I don't generally go to Emerald City that often because it conflicts with our many, many, many March conventions.
It does. It's at that time of the year when we are getting ready for Wild West Con. And that is our busiest time of year. So there's a reason why there are a bunch of things that we do all year long that in March we're like, everything's on hiatus because we are, knee deep in Wild West Con preparations. All right, so I've gone in and whilst we were chit-chatting about conventions, I did a little edge stitch here.
That's a really beautiful fabric for the undercarriage for this one. It's so good.
But it can be either the inner or the outer, depending on your druthers.
I think it's very her, though. It's very her.
Yes. Sweet. I love this with the wolves and the snakes and the whole like.
So you definitely had to make it on the bias. You had to make it just so.
Yes, I did. I did cut it just so, and so that I could arrange the pattern exactly as I wished. So now that I've edge stitched around, I'm going to put a couple of rows of quilting in here to hold all my layers together. You can do this before or after you do the edge stitching. I'm just doing it in this order because I really wanted to reinforce the edges because of unpicking everything. I knew that the cotton flannel was like wanting to fight me. Oh, Beth says I drop way too much money in the artist alley each year. I mean, look, art, right?
We have to support artists where we can,
yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So, are you making a match set or are you just making one?
Well, I will be making a second one, but tonight I'm just making the one. So, if you want to be really, really good about your quilting, you are going to draw in your quilt lines. I'm freehanding, which is absolutely absurd life choice, but it's not the most absurd thing I've done this evening. So here's my walking foot, which I hope you can see. Let me know if you can.
That looks like a foot. It has like a foot shape.
Yes, it does have a foot shape. It's really big. It has this big carriage back here that holds a lot of mechanical bits that sort of walk the presser foot. And I've lined this up at the middle of a petal. I'm just going to visually do my utmost to stitch across to the other petal. So I'm going to drop my needle. And I'm going to give myself a little back tack. My light decided to dim when I least wished it to dim. You can see I'm sort of smoothing the fabric out as I go.
I think the sound of sewing is so soothing.
Thank you. I do think that's part of why the felines love hanging out when I sew, because it's just like the purr of the motor. And then I'm going to do a little back tack at the end there. So that is my first row of quilting stitches, and I'm going to do another one going from the other corners right across. So I'll make a nice little cross in the middle. And I'm sorry, what was that?
Speaking of crosses, Madame Askew is fully obsessed with Knives Out for Knives Out 3, aka Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out adventure.
I am. I need everyone to watch it so I can gossip about it. I will not I won't do spoilers. It's too soon. People have not had a reasonable opportunity to see it yet. But it is available still in some movie theaters. I found it worth it to watch in the movie theater. It's also streaming on Netflix, so you can watch it at home with a bowl cozy and soup in your lap and a nice cup of tea or a hot toddy or what have you.
And Joanne is telling us all about her love of Gallifrey 1.
Ooh, Gallifrey 1!
I've heard so many good things
yes.
about Gallifrey 1.
Yes.
It came out this weekend. It just came out this weekend, so that's very exciting. I think Gallifrey 1 sounds really cool, but it does sound pricey, from my understanding.
Gallifrey 1? Well, it's in LA, so that always immediately makes it a bit more spendy.
Yeah, let's look at it. Let's go peek on conventions that we're not a part of.
I think the other problem for us is we're usually in Atlanta at that time.
As Con Possible also.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So now I have my beautiful bowl cozy with a little bit of quilting, which will hold all of my layers in place. It makes for a really nice little base in which I can put a nice little ball. I actually might do a thing where I do a larger one. So I do a graduated set for her. So my auntie has some options depending on the type of ball she's using. Very handy. This is a really clever technique for creating something three-dimensional out of your two-dimensional fabric. And it's also something where if you used a certain kind of stiffer fabric and a slightly stiffer interlining, like Peltex or something like that, that you could make a little catch-all, valet ball sort of thing to go on your bureau or your desk, or to hold your dice if you are someone who collects dice and sorts of things. It just makes a great little ball shape, and I think you can really riff on this in a few different ways. So, but that, I'm very happy I got, despite the issues, I got it done. You can see it's a little bit more square, a little deeper. This one is flatter and larger, so it sits a little bit more flatly on my head. This one sort of creates a little square on my head. So nice. So ball cozy or hat, you decide. I'm very pleased. These are washable. If you know you're going to be doing a lot of messy soups and stews and things, you may want to use darker fabrics. That's part of why I chose a black fabric, because it's unlikely to show as many stains. I love this one so much. I'm a messy girl. There's like a little tea stain that lives forever in the center of this one. It's very cute,
It can
right?
be a memory. It can be a memory
It
of
is a
Neil's hat.
memory. It is a memory. So let's see here. We've got some great comments. Alicia says Long Island Doctor Who on her side of the continent is smaller, mostly Doctor Who, but a great time and super chill fans. Everyone hangs out at the bar area, nerds out for the night. I love that. I love that. That's so good.
And Cindy Joe, you're walking in right near the end.
Yes, hello, Cindy Joy. I made a ball cozy tonight. That was my little shared project. Yes, the soup ball cozy or hat. So these are great little stash buster, a wonderful project for the winter months, but also a lovely gift for people you love. They're very useful. Yes, Cindy Joy says they have been on her list for a few years for gifts. So I talked about this at the beginning of the stream, but I'm going to come back to it as we're coming close to the end of our time. When I decided I was going to make a bunch of these, I purchased these plexiglass little templates. I can't remember exactly where I got them. I think it was on Etsy, but it could have been someplace else. I'll see if I can find the link again. But they had a variety of different template styles. This is a fairly, like a medium-sized square with rounded corners. It has the little darts already positioned for you, which is really nice. You don't need a template like this. You can just make a square and go wild with it. But if you're going to do a bunch of them, it's nice to have a template. And I decided I was making enough that I didn't want to have to trace out that square every time. So and remember, each ball cozy is like 3 layers. So this saves me 3 times of tracing, right? Which is very nice. Cindy Joy has been sewing bachelor buttons today, about half done. Good luck to you. And I'm happy you can be here anytime you can arrive. I'm a little sad that we overlap your exercise time, but I'm always happy to see you, Cindy Joy. So yes, I have a slightly larger template than this. It's a 5.1, a little pentagram, which I think will make for a deeper ball cozy. So I think my next one for my auntie will be that 5.1. So she has the slightly larger size to go with this slightly more petite size. This is like perfect for a simple bowl of soup. I think it's going to be a really nice little size. I'm very happy to be sending her off a handmade gift for the holidays. But yeah, the templates are really, really handy. And they were not expensive. Yeah. So you can see this is like the smaller size, smaller still. This one has the pointed corners. And this is the large one that is the 5 points. It really looks like a flower, I think, this 5-pointed one. So I'll probably do one of these big ones for her. And so she'll have a nice little set. So, my darlings, that is the stitching for today. The Grand Arbiter and I do have some cunning plans for Friday. We are being joined by our dear friend and fellow performer Eve Riot on Friday. So we're going to have a gay old time, literally and figuratively. And I'm very excited. And then, of course, we have our Hogmanay party coming up on the 31st. Details are starting to come out about that. If you're on Patreon, you already have a good sense of what's coming. That will be starting at 5 p.m. Pacific time on the 31st. Ooh, yes. So Cindy Joy says, I'm doing Japanese aprons for her boys, the Joy Boys, this year, and really likes the 5-pointed ones of the ball cozies. And Alicia is also like, ooh, I love that 5-pointed one. Yeah, I'm really like, I think I have to do the 5-pointed one because it will just be so cute. And it will also be a little bit bigger, so she can put a slightly bigger ball in it. And who knows, maybe my auntie is like secretly eating all the stew in one sitting. So like this will be a way for her to like cuddle up over her drawing table and eat stew. Good night, my dear Alicia. We don't want the cats to die. Be safe. Take care, my friend. See you Friday. We do have one more crafternoon on Saturday the 20th, and then we're wrapping up our sewing socials for the year on the 21st. And I don't know what I'm going to be working on the 21st. So I have scads of things, and I still have plenty of underpinnings. So we will probably be still working on underpinnings. But I will let you know what's coming once I take stock. I still hope to make a new corset. I was hoping to get on that in December, but I think that's going to be a January project, honestly. November turned into an absolutely wild month. Grand Arbiter, I don't feel like we've ever had such a wild November as this year's.
We've had a wild November before, because remember, there was that one time you tried to die. But I mean, I think this one's pretty wild.
Yes.
I think the bigger thing was there's just been a lot of onesie twosies, which is always actually the worst. It's not big things, it's 10 small things.
Yes. That's true. That's true, Grand Arbiter.
One of our great challenges is we want to do all sorts of tiny things, and they add up and they're hard to manage. We do so many little events all year long, and you can support making sure that those little events happen by supporting our Patreon. Our Patreon really only exists to ensure that all these Twitch and Stitches, as well as all of our Friday night teas, and even some of our streams from conventions are possible. So your participation in these events is very important for all of these streams.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Well said, Grand Arbiter. And Cindy Joy, you're right. That December in 2022, I was not dashing around anywhere. I was moving very slowly and very happy to be moving at all. My goodness, that was a wild time. And I'm so happy to be better than I was then. That's like such an understatement, to be honest, but I think you all understand what I mean. So this has been a wonderful year within our community. Outside the community, I know it's been so hard and so many terrible things have been happening, but it's been such a treasure to be able to like go to our Discord or come to our virtual events or see you at in-person events and connect that way, because I'm constantly reminded of what a lovely group of people we are so fortunate to know in the steampunk community, in our little temporal entourage space. And yet, thank you, Cindy. I am so happy I'm able to dash now. What a gift to be able to dash after not being
I don't know
able
if you
to.
dash. I'm pretty sure you don't dash. You underscore.
I underscore, I sachet, and I sometimes semicolon, honestly. So, if you are interested in joining our Patreon, Patreon is the power that keeps our teapots percolating and keeps us here and available, as the Grand Arbiter says. We would so love to see you at our Patreon. But if you are not able to join our Patreon, we understand there's a lot going on right now in the world. Please consider joining our Discord, the Steampunk Community Discord. I usually keep a link up to that in my link in bio on my link tree. I'm not able to get to it right now to like drop an invite into the chat, but oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you, Cheshire. Cheshire says, we're so good at doing the meetings between humans. Thank you, my friend. That is high praise and very kind.
Well,
So
now I've posted Madame Askew's links, and now it's time for Madame Askew to say her lovely goodbyes, because I don't believe she's eaten in several hours. And if she doesn't eat soon, I think she might go crazy.
you're correct, Grand Arbiter. It has been that kind of day. So I'm going to wish you all a very good night. Please remember to treasure yourselves as we treasure you as you are going out to oh my gosh. Oh, Beth says, speaking of Patreon, your end cards may need an update. I think they probably do then. We need to get in there and update those, Grand Arbiter. Thank you, Bess. Thank you. So please take very good care of yourselves, my darlings. Please remember that without you, we don't get to make this magic happen. You are integral. And so I need you to keep taking very good care of yourselves and to come and have fun adventures with us. And yes, feed the beast. So take care, my darlings. We'll see you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week. And then we'll see you on New Year's Eve. Cheers, everyone.